Hello and welcome back. So Spearhead issue number 1. So this is part of the trial which is ongoing at the moment. On the day that this comes out, issue 3 I believe will actually be released. Now there are no shops near me that are doing the trial or anything like that, so I have unfortunately purchased this from a dirty scalper on eBay. But you know, I thought it was important to try and get in there in front, because I like Age of Sigmar, I love Spearhead, and it's a collection I'm really looking forward to. Now I am aware that there are various discussions going on in terms of the savings to be made in the Spearhead magazine collection, and the fact that it is less than any other Hachette Partworks collection, but I believe that it's still good value for money. And more than anything, like Combat Patrol, it's a good opportunity to collect a different range of miniatures and armies that you wouldn't normally collect. So if you don't like the Stormcast, within the first sort of 15 issues or so, there'll be no more Stormcast. So you'll move on to something else. And there's other factions and armies in the collection which you may be more excited about. So we're going to go through the magazine. What I'm going to do before that is go through some of the other things that we get in the packet. So first of all, we get a little slip to fill out for your newsagent if you want to collect weekly as opposed to online monthly. There is another little pamphlet which goes through the subscription or the free gifts and that kind of thing. So in terms of, for me, we get the modelling kit for free. Now, interestingly, the modelling kit used to include the glue. It no longer does. So for the first, I think we had maybe 6 collections, or this is the 6th collection. But I think up until Mortal Realms, we definitely got glue with our modelling kit, but no more glue for us. Issue 2, the spectacular rat ogres. They're really good models and really good use in Age of Sigmar. And they really do, they're the backbone of this particular kilting. And issue 3, I believe that's Liberators. But yeah, that's what got coming up soon. I have already purchased issue number 2, so the video for that will go live in a couple of days as well. In terms of the other, so issue 3, if you subscribe via your via Hachette, that is effectively a free issue, so that's good. We get free paint brushes and texture tools and that kind of stuff. These white ones, they're the synthetic brushes. They're very good, to be fair. They're not the best you can get. I know that there's lots and lots of discussion on quality in terms of Citadel brushes and paints and all that sort of stuff, but they are good. They are good. If anyone tells you they're rubbish, they've got an agenda, right? They're decent enough for us to use for this collection. Obviously, the modelling kit, our first binder and dividers is free, and then we'll have to pay for the rest of it. So if it's over 90 issues, it's likely to be 4 dividers and binders. We get a mug. Yippee, looking forward to that. And then we get a Knight Relictor for free. So that is valued at I think £23, something like that. So that's pretty good as well. And then all sorts of stuff to fill out for subscriptions and all that sort of stuff, which I'm sure 99% of the public will just ignore because they'll be doing it online. So that's that. We have a poster which also doubles up as more information for the collection. Again, we've already been through the subscriber gifts. Can I do both sides of this? Oh yeah, sorry. This also includes the premium subscription offers, which is a much better value saving than the rest of the collection, being that it includes the Beast Smasher Mega Gargant, which I believe is only available via GW, as is Rotigus, the Great Unclean One. I believe that's GW only. We also get Catacross and Ionis Cryptborn, Warden of the Lost Souls. So very, very good premium subscription offers. Obviously, none of it can be used in Spearhead, but a good option for building up and moving ahead with our other armies that we collect. There is a kind of bone of contention with some of that, which I'll go through in a minute. Okay, here is a good graphic of the actual collection we're getting. So we get Stormcast Eternals, Maggotkin of Nurgle, which are here, Stormcast Eternals here, Idoneth Deepkin, which are over here, the Skaven, which are here, the Soulblight Gravelords, which are here, the Seraphon, which is an excellent spearhead, which is here, Cities of Sigmar, which is probably the largest kind of model count and kind of tabletop footprint collection, is there. The Slaves to Darkness, which we'll find over here, another brilliant spearhead. The Sylvaneth, which is up in this corner. The Ossiarch Bone Reapers. Where are you, Ossiarch? Here they are. The Gloomspite Gits can be found in this lot. And then the Lumineth Realm Lords, which can be found here, which is very cool. We also get the, is it Fire and Jade, which was the original kind of, sorry, it's over this side. Fire and Jade, that is the terrain. We also get the board for Fire and Jade, which comes in this issue, which we'll have a look at in a minute. And I'm assuming that over time we'll collect all of the various cards and that kind of thing. But we also have the other one, Sand and Bone. So both of those kind of rule sets and cards and all that sort of stuff should become readily available in this collection. So we can all look forward to that, which is very cool. So something that's interesting is the highest value of the premium subscriptions is the Beast Smasher Mega Gargant. It's also the only unit which cannot be added to, you know, that there is no Sons of Bahamut in the Spearhead. So effectively this guy, you know, you can add it in as an extra for whatever destruction forces you've got to see if you can get it to match and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, there is no other Sons of Bahamut other than this guy which appears in it. Catacross, obviously you can add to your Ossiarch. Rotigus fits in nicely with your Maggotkin of Nurgle, and obviously Ionis Cryptborn fits in with your Stormcast. But Beast Smasher Mega Gargant fits in with nothing. And then we just get a massive, a little bit of a step back, great big poster, which is cool, and which I'll also likely never put up, but it is nice. And it is a good way to go through the kind of collection offerings and all that sort of stuff. So that is good. We're getting closer. Okay, so this is the board. It is the Fire and Jade board, and it is double-sided, exactly the same as the one in the Fire and Jade set, with all of our different layouts for the objectives. So, one deeper look at that. So that's cool. I was kind of hoping that the reduced savings in this collection might lead to things like actual chipboard boards, but this is what we get, and that is that. The only other thing we get except for the magazine is just this board, which contains everything. It's got all the stuff, and then on the back it again has the various armies and all that sort of stuff, as well as telling us what we have in issue 2. Interestingly, something I didn't know before is that there's 31 paints, and confirmation that it does include cards, which is great, which is really very good. In terms of kind of the reduced value of savings that you get in this collection, I think that it matters less so in this, in the same way as it does with combat patrol, because if there's a army or faction that you're not enjoying collecting, you just have to wait for a couple of deliveries and then all that stuff is over and you're onto something new, which is cool. And obviously if you don't like the either all of or the majority of the spearheads that are in this, just don't get it. For me personally, let's have a look. I don't own, what do I own? I own the Stormcast and the Skaven because that's what came in the Dominion box. I own a little bit of the Gloomspite, but not all of it. And the rest of it is new to me, except for the Fire and Jade collection stuff, because that all came again in that Dominion box. Right, in terms of other bits that we get along with this, we get 6 dice, 4 bases, and our sprues, of which we have 4 models, which are a Lord Veritant and Griff Crow, a Warlock Engineer, and a Grey Seer. Now at this stage, I'm not going to assemble these on camera because we're not there for the full collection yet, all that sort of stuff. So I have got pre-built copies of these from the Dominion set. They are primed but not painted, so they might look a little bit funky. But this is the models. So the Lord Veritant, the Griff Crow. So ignore the weird way that I've primed these guys, just so as I can basically oil wash them to make them stand out and look very, very different to what you'd normally expect. That is the Warlock Engineer and the Grey Seer. Very cool. Okay, so let's, with 12.5 minutes in now, let's actually talk about the magazine. Okay, Spearhead. Welcome to the Age of Sigmar. Read on to discover all about this time of warfare and the sprawling mortal realms where the action takes place. With this issue, you'll receive your first models and a guide on how to assemble them. Once they're built, you can take your first steps as a commander with an exciting combat tutorial. Happy hobbying. Okay, so again, people who have collected these magazines, you will recognise a lot of the stuff which is going on here. We start with the Age of Sigmar. In the Age of Sigmar, the 8 mortal realms are torn apart by endless warfare. Gods and monsters clash on the battlefield, and the great arcane powers are unleashed amid the endless bloodshed. Into the Maelstrom, the forces of order set out to reclaim the lands from their enemies, the forces of death or destruction and of chaos. Straightforward introduction. Then we talk about the individual realm stones. So the realm of Akshi, which is the Ember Stone, the realm of Gairan, which is the Cycle Stone, Shaiish, Grave Sand, Azir, the Celestium, Gur, Amber Bone, Shamon, the Shamanite, Hish, the Ether Quartz, and the realm of Ulgu, the Shadow Stone. And a little bit of information on all of these. A little discussion on spearheads particularly. Into the war-torn realms march spearheads. These are compact forces that are able to use their speed and size to accomplish vital missions and bend the situation to their side's advantage. The warriors who form spearheads are experts in all manner of military operations, from covert ambushes to daring all-out attacks. Then we've got a kind of little naming table for our Stormcast Eternals. So, right. So let's have a little look here. So this is all on a D6. Within each Stormcast Eternals army, there are many important characters and leaders. These range from the champions of single units, known as the Units Prime, all the way through to the highest ranking officers and commanders. So we'll roll a d6, so that's a 5, and then we'll roll it again, that's a 3. So that is a Vasilia, the character title, a 1, and a 1. Vasilia Bright Shield, and the unit name, 5, and a 1. Vasilia Bright Shield Deathbringers. Okay, yeah. So Vasilia Bright Shield, and the unit name is the Deathbringers. Okay, we get a similar sort of thing for the Skaven. We'll do the same stuff. So 5 and 6. So we've got Sneckert Flesh Crafted. So Sneckert Fresh Crafted, and the unit name is the Plague Horde. Okay, pretty cool. So you can do that for all your different units and that kind of thing. Then we've got a building guide, which I won't go through because we've got built models. Okay, an age of battle. This is an age of unending war. Colossal armies clash on the battlefield. Great heroes sat astride huge monsters drive their forces forward. The sky is darkened by clouds of arrows, and in the bloodiest parts of the battle, huge formations of soldiers clash in bitter hand-to-hand combat. This is the age of Sigmar. So, epic clashes and beautiful miniatures. That is what we are all about here. In this issue, you'll learn how dice are used to decide the outcome of battlefield actions and how each unit has characteristics that are detailed on a war scroll. Then you'll fight a deadly duel between a vicious Skaven Grey Seer and a valiant Stormcast Eternal's Lord Veritant. Are you ready? Well, I certainly am. So they have set this out on Gyran, sorry. So that is what I will do. And they've assembled all the stuff right bang in the middle of the battlefield. So I shall do the same. In fact, I will do that just off to the side here, so I've got a bit of space to place my magazine. Lord Veritant, Griff Crow, Warlock Engineer, and Grey Seer. Right, we'll zero back in on them in just a minute. So it talks us through the general details. Let's just move this for a second. Talks through the general details. So, for example, here we've got some Liberators attacking a Grey Seer, which we can't do today, but it does talk about D3, determining D3 results, the difference between successes and failures. So you can see here we have, I don't know if you can see that actually. So these dice, so we need a success on a 4 up, so it's just detailing which ones are successes and which ones are failures, and determining D3 results. So our 1 or 2 is 1 on a D3, 3 or 4 is a 2, the 5 and a 6 is a 3. Okay, information there on what to do with Cott's dice. Dice don't always land flat on the table. They might end up propped at an angle or even on the floor. If this happens, ignore the result and re-roll the dice that didn't land properly. That is a very important piece of information, especially for people who go to tournaments and that kind of thing. If your dice goes on the floor, as far as I'm concerned, and as far as this magazine is concerned, it doesn't count. You re-roll it. And what a lot of people tend to try and do, and I know of them, I know a few of them, is that they will wait to see what that result is, and that will decide whether or not they re-roll it. Cheeky buggers. Okay. Next we're on to War Scrolls. Information here on the Lord Veritant. So he's got his Staff of Abjuration. He makes 1 attack, he hits on a 3 up, and he wounds on a 3 up and does 3 damage. The Grey Seer Has 3 attacks, that's 3 times as many as the Lord Veritant. However, he's only hitting on 4s, and he's only wounding on 4s as well. But he does D3 damage. So let's do a little kind of test on that. So, the Staff of Abjuration, 3 up to hit, 3 up to wound. Okay, so he failed his wound test. So, nothing happens there. The Grey Seer's Warpstone Staff, 3 attacks. So we need a 4 up to hit. And nothing goes through. There you go. That's the difference between 3 ups and 4 ups. 3 ups, you're more likely to do it. 4 ups, you're less likely to do it. But we'll get onto this fight a bit more as we go through it. Okay, so it takes us through the different stages. So hits, the first roll that needs to be made is a hit roll as your warriors face each other. One of them lunges forward and strikes with their weapon. The question is, have they managed to land the blow? And then next is wound. So if you are successful in your hit roll, the next roll that needs to be made is a wound roll. Some of the strikes may have made contact with a foe, but have they struck hard enough to cause a wound, or were they merely glancing blows? If that goes through, you face your opponent to make a save. Both players have actions to take during combat. Next, the defending player needs to make a save roll. The blow may have struck true and hard, but can their hero dodge it or turn it with their armour? And then finally, damage. So determining the damage. So on our War Scrolls here, you can see the different damages that were available. So the Staff of Abjuration of the Lord Veritant, if your hits and wounds go through and they're not saved by your opponent, they do 3 damage. The Grey Seer, if hits and wounds go through and it's not saved, they do D3 damage. And again, we learnt D3 a minute ago on this little table there. Right, duel to the death. You're now ready to fight. In the scenario, you use dice to determine the outcome of a duel between Cunning Grey Seer and Heroic Lord Veritant. And let's have a look. Let's fold this over. We'll get this in the middle. And we have our Grey Seer. Sorry, our Grey Seer and our Lord Veritant. You can play this with 2 people, or you can just play this by yourself, taking actions for both sides, which is what I'm doing today. If you're playing with 2 people, swap sides after the first battle, so each player gets a turn with each model. No matter who wins this deadly fight, the skills you learn during this battle will be put to good use in the wars to come. You'll need Grey Seer, your Lord Veritant, your battle mat, your dice, and wound markers. Do we have wound markers? We do have some wound markers. They are on the back cover for you to cut out. I haven't got those cut out at the moment, so we will work that out as we get to it. Set up the Lord Veritant and Grey Seer so their bases touch. There we go. You can place them in any marked circle on the battlefield. You won't need the Griff Crow in this battle, so set it aside for now. Battle ends immediately when one model has suffered damage equal or greater than its health characteristic. Use the wound markers included at the back of the magazine to track accumulated damage. So we will take turns. So we're going to start with the Skaven turn. So first of all, his hits. So he rolls 3 dice and he hits on a 3 up. So on a 4 up. So a 4, 5 or 6, and he will hit. And one of them goes through. He will try to wound again on a 4 up, which he does. So that goes through. The Stormcast Eternal has an opportunity to save. He saves on a 3 up. So let's try that now. So really a 1 or 2 and he'll fail. There you go. He has saved it. So there is no damage to calculate to see if anything's inflicted. So at the moment, there are no wounds. Stormcast Eternal will get a go as well. He makes 1 attack, our Lord Veritant. So he's looking for a 3-up, which he gets with a 4. He's looking to wound on a 3-up, which he does get. And the Skaven will roll to save. He can only save on a 6, which he fails to do. So our Lord Veritant inflicts 3 damage. Now, according to the War Scroll, the Grey Seer has 5 health, so he's only got 2 left. But it does revert back to his go again. So he's going to roll 3 dice looking for a 4-up. And they all pass. Now he's going to try and wound again on a 4-up. And they all go through again. Our Stormcast will get a chance to save all 3 of them. So again, he needs a 2-up. And he manages to save 2 of them, but 1 of them goes through. And our Grey Seer does D3 damage. So he rolls a 6, so he does 3 damage. So D3, basically you half and round up whatever you get. So he does 3 damage. So that's 3 damage each. Grey Seer has a total of 5 health. And our Lord Veritant a total of 6. And Lord Veritant is going to hit again. So he's looking for 3s to hit, which he fails. So the entire combat ends there as far as he is concerned. And the Grey Seer is going back. So again, 4-ups, 1 goes through. 4-up to wound. And he fails it. Back to the Lord Veritant. He's looking for a 3-up to hit. He does. And a 3-up to wound. He does. Grey Seer gets a chance to save on a 6-up, which is unlikely. But he makes the save. So that is over. Back to the Grey Seer. Okay, 4-ups. 2 go through. 4-ups to wound. 1 goes through. Stormcast gets a chance to save it, which he does. Back to the Stormcast, 3-up. 3-up to wound. Grey Seer will try and save on a 6, which he does again. Grey Seer hits back, so 4-ups to hit. And only 1 of those goes through. 4-up to wound, goes through. Stormcast will try and save. He rolls a 6, which is a successful save. This is going to go on forever. Okay, Lord Veritant goes again. 3-up to hit, successful. 3-up to wound, successful. Grey Seer will try and save on a 6, which he does. How is he doing it? This is ridiculous. Okay, back to the Grey Seer. So 4-up to hit, 1 goes through. 4-up to wound. He makes a 6. Our Lord Veritant will try and save. He gets a 6. Successful save. So we're back to the Lord Veritant. Right. Come on, something's got to happen. 3-up to hit. He does. 3-up to wound. He does. If he rolls a 6 again, it's got to be some sort of record. It's a 5. He doesn't quite save. So that's 3 more damage gets applied to our Grey Seer, which ends the combat. Lord Veritant wins on this occasion. And the Grey Seer, sorry, Lord Veritant is victorious on this occasion. The Grey Seer is dead and will lick his wounds. So that's that. So that was that was more epic than it needed to be. I've never seen so many 6 save rolls consecutively in my life. I think it was at 2 or 3. Anyway, well done for him for lasting so long. Now we're at the end of the magazine, so don't forget to cut out all of these things for your wound markers. We get, once again, the spread for all of our different stuff. And that's it. Then we get a little bit of information what comes up in our next couple of issues. The next one is a really good one, and that is a collection of 3 rat ogres. Very, very cool. Very, very cool for Spearhead and for Age of Sigmar. Now, I don't know if you saw the other video I put out the other day when I sort of rated some of the spearheads that are coming out. There are 2 viable or available spearheads for the Skaven. There is a really good Skaven one, and they've got one which is okay, and we are getting the okay one, which is a shame, but you know, that's how it goes. There's another really good one, but they've got to do this. They've got to base it off of that Dominion box that came out, so no surprises there. But these rat ogres are the best thing that appears in this spearhead, and we get it in issue 2, so that's good. Issue 3 is 5 liberators. I like the liberators. They are cool. Nothing wrong with them. They're good for this spearhead as well. They are pretty tough and they deal good damage. So that's it. So that's our next 2 issues. I know for a fact that I will be reviewing this one in the next couple of days. This one, who knows? If I decide to bow down to a scalper on eBay and buy a copy, then yeah, I'll review it. But I'll wait for your feedback on that. If you want more content like this, let me know. But I'm very much looking forward to this collection kicking off properly. So yeah, we look forward to that. Thank you very, very much for watching, guys. Thanks for supporting the channel with your views. It's massively appreciated. It is massively appreciated. If you want to do even more to support the channel, the best thing you can do is drop a like and a subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. I will catch you later.